Hello there. This is La Familia Campos by Luis M. Campos. This is part of the family life map for our class, and I want to start out with a little bit about my family. So let's get started. Um, as you can see here, this is my family. My dad is on the left over there, looking kind of confused. My mother is in the middle in the black dress. You can see my grandma in the red dress over there on the side, and all my cousins are all around with my uncle as well. This is actually part of my sister's quinceañera, which was a blast. We had a lot of fun. Um, I'll start off a little bit about my dad. My dad was born in Lima, Peru on March 25th, 1963. Um, he identifies as a Latino, speaking both English and Spanish. Um, for labor experience, he's a software engineer right now at Raytheon Missile Systems here in Tucson. But in the past, he has worked at Lockheed Martin and he has worked at Texas Instruments. He's a very smart guy. Um, he identifies as Catholic and he has two children, myself and my sister. And it looks here like you can't see my you know what, this is actually my cousin's quinceañera. I totally forgot. She's in the red dress in the middle right next to the father, el padre. um, and I believe my sister is actually behind my mother, but you can't see her, but I have another picture of her as well. um, so for the part of the questions for each parent, labor history, I got over a little bit with my dad. Now my mom is named Fatima. She was born in Chihuahua, Mexico on October 23rd, 1963. She also identifies as Latino, speaking both Spanish and English. And as a work experience, right now she owns a restaurant here in town. It's called Inca's Peruvian Cuisine, which I mentioned a little bit later in the film and in the keynote. Um, she identifies as Catholic, and a little bit about her labor history. She actually used to be a realtor, and she graduated actually as a kindergarten teacher specialist. She has a bachelor's of arts degree. Um, a little bit about both of my parents. They have been self-employed. My mother is obviously self-employed now. My father isn't right now, but he did have a business when he was pretty young, a, um, a software business. And they learned plenty things, plenty skills on the job. Mainly, my mother has learned a lot through restaurant ownership that she has actually passed down to me, which is amazing. She learned skills ranging from um, taxes, doing her own city planning, going to the city and getting your permits and everything. So she knows the system pretty well now. But training experience for her was on the job mostly, as it came. So the struggles with the restaurant ownership that comes with that, everything from um, getting a bad review on Yelp, or you know inventory missing. She has learned all of that, and she's still learning. And I myself am learning from her through her experiences, which is something amazing. Um, they both do volunteer at I believe it's called Casa Maria. They have both volunteered in the past. Um, growing up, both of them grew up in different parts of the world. So my dad was born in Peru, my mom was born in Mexico, but they both came from pretty humble beginnings, not having all the luxuries that we have today. So my dad actually immigrated from Peru when he was 16, came here with not knowing any English, and graduated with a ended up with a master's in computer science, which is what my plan is, hopefully in the future. And my mom was born in Chihuahua to a poor family, ranch owners, field workers actually, and they met in Chihuahua. And my dad actually did work also in auto repairs, so he was a mechanic. Part with my grandfather Manuel, which was born in Peru, and the ethnicities that my grandparents were is my grandpa has recalled having some ancestors that were African, and my mom on my mom's side, oh, also my dad's side, some Lebanese immigrants to Peru. My mom has had German ancestry and Spanish mostly. Um, Questions for me around the house that I will get to right now is I actually live with my grandparents because they live with us. Um, all four of them are still alive, but my grandparents from my mother's side live with us, and the other two also live here in Tucson as well. So, the next slide. Um, it's hard how I identify because you could say that someone that's Pemex, Peruvian Mexican, having both ancestries is actually kind of fun because you get two different aspects of Latino life. And as you can see here in the next picture, these are actually my grandparents um, meeting when my mom and dad got married, which is very nice. It's just a mixture of cultures all around. And as you can see here, the short path to our family tree, I tried filling out as much as I could, but my grandparents were actually in Peru right now, so I couldn't get in contact with them. And my grandparents that live here um, don't have much recollection of past ancestors besides their parents that I forgot to put in the family map here. Labor history, basically, my dad works at Raytheon and my mom owns this restaurant, which is actually today that I'm filming this on Friday, we're actually hosting, or we have our air date on Food Network with Guy Fieri, which is something very exciting that occurred to us. You can see here myself, my mother, and Mr. Fieri. He was a wonderful guy, and my mom was actually filming with him, and I learned a lot through her about her and how she has a plan for the restaurant after my graduation. So I learned a lot about my family then. Home and life, home life and work life for me is a balance between being at the restaurant and going to school right now. As tough as my major is, I still do both. I still do general managing at the restaurant and with my mom at the restaurant and at school. It's getting a pretty tough semester so far. My role within the family is kind of um, a dad, as my sister says. You can see my sister there next to my mom in this picture. Um, Honestly, I define family as a coming together of multiple generations and something so beautiful as having a connection to human beings that goes beyond just blood, but also um, your parents wanting the best for you and having that back when you yourself cannot think or think bad thoughts about what's going on in the future and going through life. That support is really what family is about to me. Um, and the life now surprises me I that I'm still blessed to have all my grandparents with me and still alive and passing down some really good traditions. So yeah, thank you for listening and yeah, the end.